Hello, this is Seth with Blend Precisely, and thanks for your attendance today. I'm talking about density in Blend Precisely. Sarah on Indie AI in the Business Hub had a few questions about this, and it's a question we find ourselves answering as people realize that there's a difference in their cost from time to time. So I wanted to address that and address any concerns or confusion about it. So let's dive right in. Okay, let's make sure you can see my screen. Let's see. All right, great. All right, first of all, let's just have a baseline. ChatGPT, ask a basic question. What is density? It's the mass divided by volume of something, which is kind of what we have with our inventory items for all of our essential oils, carrier oils, whatever we have. Everything has this physical property. Something closely related is the specific gravity. And I'm mentioning this because sometimes on a GCMS report, which is probably where you're going to get your density from. In this case, this is a wild lavender from Floriana. I particularly like their PDFs because it's fairly complete. So here it's saying the density is 0.8921 for this particular batch that is available from Floriana. So those are the bare naked facts. I wanted to show you a comparison between two bits of inventory here. Both are lavender, both are from one is from our backend, our generic Blend Precisely inventory, which I've copied over into my my own personal one for this account. Let me just bring that up real quick. And I'm going to do it on another screen. And go to my inventory. So the difference between this one and that one is just the supplier. So this is one that I copied over from Blend Precisely Ingredients. I said, make this mine. And this is something that we've created from our own back end of documents and things like this. So, and then I added a new ingredient using this to just create another lavender and choosing lavender angustifolia. And so I intentionally altered the, where did I put it? Density, okay. So this is the one from Blend Precisely, and this is the one where I just gave it a bizarre density of 5, which is about 5 times too big for pretty much any essential oil. Units are in, it doesn't really matter what the currency is, but what's relevant is the price, the quantity, the density, and the unit. And these 4 things work together to come up with the price per unit. So in this case, the price per unit means there's it costs you $1.07 per gram for this particular product. And with this one, because the density has changed from to 5, it changes if I were to do something truly ridiculous and say it's 50. Let's see, it's not updating for some reason here. Let me just reload that. And go see what that is. Oh, the price isn't changing because it's not looking at the density in this price per gram calculation. So at any rate, it changes. Why is this not updating? Okay, so let me go back to the comparison in the formulations here. So this lavender, you can see from just mousing over it, is the suppliers of Mountain Rose. I made it up. This is the one that has the density of 5. And because I have 1 gram from the price per unit, you can see that's 99 cents. If you look at the one from Blend Precisely, it is $1.07. So this shows you that the price does change depending on density. So the calculation is probably something you don't really care about because but it's essentially everything in the back end is getting converted to grams. All values, all costs, everything are based on dollars and grams. So if, for example, you put in a different currency, it takes that into account and runs off to the back end, and it says, okay, the current exchange rate between the Swiss franc and the dollar is such and such, and we're going to compute that using the price per gram, depending on the quantity that you have here and the unit that you have here. So you can choose any value you want. It's the front end, or what you're seeing here is just presented in a way that is translated by doing these calculations. So we have seen some pretty dramatic differences for people that were using something like rose oil. And there was one lady that got she was off by a factor of like 100 on her density. And it just completely altered everything in her final product formula. And she was like, hey, what's going on? So I encounter this from time to time. And one of the trade-offs that we had when we chose to go to a model where you get to put in your own information is that we are no longer in control of how accurate something like this is. So you can completely shoot yourself in the foot if you want with any of the values that you put in here. But the density is pretty much the most critical one, just because it's the difference between you being profitable or not profitable. So if you're like one of our more heavy product people that actually sells them in their shop, one of the things that I created was my formulations here. You may or may not know about this, but if you select multiple products and you say go to a shopping list, it will calculate for you the total cost. So even if you're off by a little bit and then you go to a market and you're selling it online, the cumulative difference on selling like 100 products can alter your bottom line significantly. So you could be completely unprofitable or profitable if you get the density wrong in a big way. If you're off by a few, like 0.01 difference in density, you're probably not going to see that big of a difference, but there are consequences if it's a big difference. So I just want to make you aware of that. All right. So let's see if I'm on target with my plan here. See, Sarah, walk through 2 recipes, how to find density, questions. Let's see if we have any questions from the viewing audience here. And let's see. Okay, what happens when you measure everything in grams and not drops? That's a good question. All right, let's take a look at that. Let's actually just try it. Okay, so let's say, well, first of all, let's go to the inventory here again. And let's say that the unit that we got in here was just grams. Does that make any difference in the final density or the price per unit and density? And since we're adding those in, this density shouldn't have an effect and all that. Let's see. And I'm just going to refresh. Save my product. Let's see, I think I had Mount Rose on the left. Just keep it there. And BP's on here. So the answer is yes, there's still a difference. You may remember that this one's saying 99 cents before, and this one is 87% cents. So the short answer is it's dependent on what you're putting into the inventory. So remember, it's a combination of the price, the quantity, the density, and the unit. So the best course of action is just get the right density. We do have a default density. So for example, if I add in a new ingredient and let's say my ingredient, which does not yet exist anywhere, I'm going to call it an essential oil. Bogus Latinus. And I'm going to call use the Mountain Rose, and we'll say it's $100 for, let's see, USD. Quantity purchase was 10, and for a quantity unit of I don't know, just milliliters. All right, and what you'll find is that the density is 0.91. So we've recently changed this to 0.86, just because we figured out that that's a closer average. It's wise not to rely on this if you want accurate formulating and to also get accurate information. If you were to go to, for example, the skincare mode, which I don't have for this particular account, when you're calculating constituents, how much of a constituent, like, so if you have limonene or some other thing, the density affects that outcome. So all of your training about how much of a specific constituent you want is going to look off to you. So that's the short story. The point of all this being, get the density and make sure it's right if you want correct costs and correct values of constituents. So one of the reasons that you're seeing this, if you're used to other programs, is Blend Precisely combines, let me get back to the right spot here. Blend Precisely combines cost information where other programs typically do not. So once you put a dollar amount in there, it becomes even more critical if you're in business and you're trying to make money. So that's pretty much it. Okay. So are there any questions? Sylvia says, I love that you have pre-populated the BP app with essential oils. Even I don't have a particular essential oil, I can still use those in the list to get a rough idea of what my formula will cost. Yeah, thanks. That is one of the things that we realized fairly early on. People just want to try stuff, play around, and accuracy and trying to get things perfect and right and do whatever an aromatherapist does becomes important later. And the cool thing is now you can modify anything that we have from our playground ingredients to make them yours and make them exactly as you want them. So that's pretty much it for now. If there's no more questions, then I'm going to sign off here. This video is going to be on YouTube, Facebook, and one other place I don't remember off the top of my head, but you can replay this and let us know what you think or get back to us later. All right. Nice talking to you, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye.